Guys, you will not believe what I have found in my research. Apparently, you can buy children on the dark web, but not just any kids. They are, for lack of a better word, prepped. It's the most disturbing thing I've ever heard, and I sincerely hope it's not true.
It was a warm autumn day as I walked home from my friend's birthday party. I was in a good mood because Tim had been happy about my present and Lena had given me her Insta. Although my mum didn't allow me to use social media before my 10th birthday, I was using the app on my brother's smartphone. I didn't feel like going home yet, so I looked around the unfamiliar neighborhood for something to do. An old house caught my eye. It had the same architectural style as all the others on the street, but it looked like no one had lived there for years. I don't know what came over me, but I decided to find a way into the house. Unsurprisingly, the door was locked, so I walked around the building. Sure enough, there was an open window at the back, which I was able to reach with the help of a wheelbarrow that I turned around. The window belonged to a room that was empty except for 2 old packing cases. The door was ajar, and I pushed it open slowly. I felt like I was in a Stephen King novel and felt very brave. Across the hall was the kitchen. As I entered, I was struck by the humming sound of the fridge and the fresh food on the counter. Then, I heard footsteps above me. Panic, I quickly turned and ran to the open window, but as I tried to lift my leg over the wall, something held me down. Before I could see what it was, I felt a hard object hitting my skull. A warm and numb sensation enveloped my brain, and my eyes went black. When I woke up, I was locked in a moldy cellar. I had no calendar or watch, but I scratched a line on the damp wall for each day. For 3 weeks, nothing happened. Then I gave up counting. The only person I saw during this time was a masked man who didn't speak a word to me and ignored mine. He put food on a plastic tray in front of me and disappeared. I tried to get past him once, and my nose has been broken ever since. After a long time, it was winter, and I was freezing every night on my damp mattress. Then, the man finally spoke. But what he said was the worst thing I had ever heard.
"Boy,"
he said, and I realized he had never asked me my name.
"I found a buyer for you. I'm going to cut off all your limbs, and then you can leave this cellar."
I didn't say anything after that, but he talked to me every day from then on, introduced me to his life and his profession. He had originally wanted to be a doctor, but had failed his exams too often. So he started operating on animals on his own until a drug dealer on the dark web introduced him to a new craft: transforming and selling humans. My transformation, as he almost reverentially called it, took several weeks. He explained that a child's body shouldn't be put under too much strain. That's why he only cut off 1 limb at a time, giving me time to recover. He was suddenly very nice to me, putting an electric heater in my room, playing music loudly on the floor above so I could hear it, and even bringing me comic books, which he had to replace with a small TV when he had removed my hands. He knew I had a question, even though I never asked it. What would the buyer do with me? All he told me was that after my transformation, I would be a kind of doll, a living toy. He couldn't guarantee that I would be treated well. Just like dolls, there are those who look after them and those who pull out their hair. One by one, he skillfully, as far as I could tell, removed my limbs. First my arms, then my legs, then my penis. He did this in an indifferent manner, as if he were dissecting a frog. Only before pulling out my teeth and cutting out my tongue did he apologize to me. When my mouth had healed, he told me that I would be picked up in a few days. I lay on my mattress soaked with sore secretions and looked at him in awe, as I had expected him to go on and dismantle me into my individual parts.
"It's the buyer's wish to preserve you exactly like this."
It was as if he could read my mind.
"He wants you to have your eyes so you can see what he's doing to you. He wants you to have your nose so you can smell his sweat. He wants you to have your ears so you can hear his words."
A few days later, he came to my cellar with another man. They put me in a wooden box, carried me up the stairs, and loaded me in what I presumed to be a van. Then the car drove off. I don't know why, but we were stopped by the police. The conversation between the driver, who wasn't the buyer, as it turned out later, and the officers escalated. I heard them shouting at him and finally pulling him out of the car. Then the door to the cargo space opened. It's been 4 years since they found me. They dragged me out of the car and into the torturous sunlight. I was saved. At least that is how they saw it. I am writing these lines with a device attached to my gums. Theoretically, I can communicate via an electronic speech aid, but I haven't spoken a word since my release. They still haven't located the house where I was imprisoned. My parents didn't want me anymore. I understand that. Even strangers find it hard to look at me. The people here in the facility are kind to me, but pity is no substitute for love. The carers are never shocked when I ask them to end my suffering. None of them would have lasted as long as I have. They will give in eventually. They won't be able to share my suffering for much longer. I'm in no hurry. Physically, I'm here amongst you, but deep down, I'm still trapped in the cold cellar. I can see the weak cone of light from the lamp cutting through the darkness. I can smell the wet mattress beneath my head. I can hear the heavy footsteps approaching the door, and I can never leave.
Hey guys, do you remember my video about the dark web? Actually, someone wrote me a message. An actual worm sent me a message. I don't even know how he did it. I got pictures for proof, although I can't show them to you. I almost vomited when I saw them. The sad little guy gave the address of the building he was being held hostage in. Of course, the police cleared the building long ago. Now, if you know me, you know exactly what I'm gonna do next. See you in my next video.